Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tips with Toni Topic Tuesdays. I'm really excited to have you join me today. I am going to be sharing a story. Hey, thanks for tuning in. My Instagram friends, I apologize. I'm looking at my Facebook camera, so my eyes are going to be down throughout the presentation. I guess we want to call it a presentation. I don't even know. It's a live video. All right. Before I get started, my name is Toni Marinucci. I'm a registered dietitian, and I am the owner of Diet Tips with Toni Marinucci, MSRD LLC. It's an online nutrition counseling business where I provide diet guidance for those who are on a weight management plan or really just looking for that accountability factor and needing some nutrition expertise and looking to gain that confidence back in themselves and feeling good and comfortable in their own skin. And that is what I specialize in. Hey, Kelly. Thanks for tuning in. Just a reminder, if you have not already subscribed to the Tips with Toni podcast, please do that. And the Gym Wits podcast. And you can follow that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Libsyn, pretty much anything that plays podcasts, you can listen to it. Fun fact for the Gym Wits. Hey, Brandy. Yes, this is going to be, I'm going to go real deep in this conversation. This is why I'm kind of blabbering right now because I'm a little hesitant and scared to share what I have to share tonight. But I'm going to do it because I believe that I'm going to help people in doing so. But before I get to there, fun fact, if you want to listen to the Gym Wits and you have the Alexa app thing, I don't even know what it is, you can tell Alexa to play the Gym Wits and it'll play it for you. You can tell it to rewind and fast forward. I think that's pretty cool. All right, so tonight's topic is how to overcome diet self-sabotage and learn how to love your body throughout the journey so you can live your life today. Because we so often want to wait till we get to the end for that destination point and I'll feel better when I lose the 20 pounds, or I'll be happy when I am able to do 40 burpees, or I'll be fine when I finally can fit into a size 6 or something like that. Thanks for tuning in, guys. So this topic stemmed from an invitation that I had received, and I was asked to speak at an event this past weekend, and it was hosted by a wonderful person. Her name is Christina, and she has a blog. It's joyfullychrissylee.com. Without WordPress.com. I'll put it in the notes section in the comments in a little bit. Hello. And she asked me to speak to a group of women who are feeling broken and needing to feel whole. And she wanted me to put the spin of health and wellness. And she didn't know what I was going to say. She just asked me to be there as an expert in nutrition and to provide some guidance to help these women feel healthier and happier. But going into it, I knew that I'd never met these people before. I had to connect with them in some way. And I knew that the person before me was going to share a little bit of her own story. And so I was looking, hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. I was looking through my old, don't ask, I was spring cleaning, and I was looking through my old schoolwork, and I found a poem that I wrote when I was 13 years old, and it is not a happy poem. It's actually a very sad poem, and I decided to share that at the meeting and to initiate my talk. Basically, what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to share that poem with you all so you can learn more about my story and my struggles with weight management and self-esteem. And hopefully, the reason why I'm doing it is because after I shared this story on Saturday with the group, people really connected to it, and I knew that it was helping people. Hi, Carrie. So I want to continue to help people. And so that's why I'm going to share this. It's sad. I'm not going to lie. It is sad. But I'm going to read it, and I'm just warning you all, I'm not comfortable right now, but I'm trying to go outside of my comfort zone to inspire you all. So please let me know if you I love the hearts and the set. I love it all. I need the support right now because I'm not really feeling comfortable, but I do know that this is going to help a lot of people, so I'm going to share it. All right. So I wrote this when I was 13 years old, and it was from Miss Johnson's class. I even have, you can see, I got a grade, but then she told me to go see her, and I remember going to the guidance counselor after that because it was not, I had to go. Anyways. So, it is called The Scariest Place in the World, the Mirror. There was a girl who always wanted to cry. Her eyes were like clouds filling up with water that just wanted to fly. She would look in the mirror and hated what she see. She would think to herself, oh, I hate being me. Each step that she took closer to the big scary glass that gave off a reflection, she so badly wanted to look in the other direction. She couldn't understand how she could ever get so fat. She always wanted to be much smaller than that. The magazine pictures and the TV shows of the gorgeous supermodels would make her feel so low. She would think to herself, oh, I wish that could be me. So thin, so beautiful, someone all the guys want their girlfriends to be. She would stand across the mirror for hours from day to day thinking, will this disgusted feeling of hatred ever go away? It tears her up inside and makes her want to get rid of all the disgusting things she hates about herself on the outside. She lets the big clouds release, and she wishes when she finishes crying, she will no longer look like a horrible beast. She looks in the mirror with anger and screams, attacking the fat thing in her reflection. Her goal is trying to make the mirror break so she doesn't have to look at her reflection. She just really wants to be thin. She doesn't want to be fat. But she has many doubts in herself to defeat that. The feeling of disgust of how she looks and how she wants to look as beautiful as the pictures of the girls in the books. Some people tell her she's beautiful and she looks great, but she can never believe them because of all that hate. She hates herself so much words can't describe, and she hides it well too, for you cannot see it in her eyes. Although there are people who tell her she looks great, there are also people who tell her things like, you will never get a date. She asks, how could you say such a thing to me? They reply, if you keep eating so much, no guy will like you, can't you see? If only the people who said such things knew that she felt that way too, they wouldn't say those things to make her feel blue. She doesn't listen to the compliments, only to the bad, even though those are the words that make her so sad. Every time she looks in the mirror, all these thoughts go to her head, making her feel like the feeling is never going to end. The mirror to her is the scariest place in the world. When she looks in it, she thinks to herself, I wish I didn't look like me. My only wish is to look like someone thin and beautiful. That's who I want to be. Hey, thank you. I wrote that when I was 13. I am sharing that with you all to let you know that my journey started in a place of hate, and it started in a place of wanting to change my outside. But what I learned was that the work had to be done on the inside. And so although I initially started by, I thought, the first thing I thought was, oh, don't eat. You know, if you don't eat, then you'll lose weight. But then that obviously didn't work because I had no energy. I played sports and I could never get myself to move and perform at the level that I wanted to perform. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, most people, someone wrote that I described her teenage years, and I think that the reason why I share that is I was a teenager. I was 13 years old, and that was just the beginning of when I started. I started to change my eating habits when I was 14. But regardless, I think that our perception of ourselves is so skewed over what other people say about us, about how we see ourselves, by the way that we feel. And in general, that this is just our outer layer. This is just what we look like on the outside. The work has to come from within. So after that, so I always wrote and I always journaled, and I obviously created poetry. Not that that's the best poetry you've ever heard, but I created poetry. And that was my way of expressing myself. And what I realized initially when I started to change my eating habits, it did it all wrong. It was not eating, and then it was overeating, and then it was getting mad at myself for overeating, and then it was excessively exercising. I just told you I played sports. I would come home from tryouts and still exercise. Like, it got to a point where it was just in my mind, it was all consuming. And I know that I'm not alone in that. And that's why I wanted to share this story, because it's taken me years of work and effort and energy to finally realize that the diet needed to change. Because even though that hurt and that hate and the way that I saw myself was based off of the way that I looked, and yes, kids teased me when I was younger, and yes, I was overweight compared to my peers, but at the end of the day, if I never accepted that fact, I would have still been overweight. And even though it doesn't excuse the fact that those words were hurtful and not, I probably undeserving, I guess you could say, it doesn't take away the fact that it was true and that I wasn't actually happy. So regardless of what other people said, I knew that I needed to change, because I knew that my happiness and my health depended on it. And then I recognized that I was doing everything the wrong way, and that when I made that transition of going from a place of hating my body and hating myself and beating myself up about not being able to do the diet perfectly and not being able to eat right and control my portions and control my cravings, and instead of being mad at myself and putting myself down, I then switched to, no, I'm doing this because I love myself. I love my body. I am healthy. The only thing at that time was I was overweight, but I was still healthy, still active. I had a great life. And I started to recognize that if I focus on the negative and I constantly beat myself up for what I didn't do, that's not helping me get to where I want to be. So I changed my mindset, and then I started to eat healthier and exercise regularly, not because I wanted to look a certain way, but because I was happy with myself, and I was proud of myself for making consistent changes over time and seeing these results and feeling good in my skin and recognizing that my confidence was up and my energy was up and the life that I gained. That's like my most favorite quote ever. It's not about the weight that you lose, it's about the life that you gain. And that is when I realized, okay, forget about this self-hate, poor body image thing. Like, I'm doing this because it makes me feel good. And once you start to go about your goals in a way that makes you feel good, that's when they're going to actually stay. So what I want to challenge you all to do today is I want you to commit to being the best version of you. Commit to being healthier. And you're going to do that by choosing one thing that you can improve. So I started with cutting out fast food. I used to eat a lot of fast food when I was a kid. So that's my first thing. I chose to, instead of having fast food all the time, I had more vegetables. I ate from home most often. Then it went to, so it was no fast food. Then it was more vegetables. Then it was, instead of like white bread and white pasta, I started choosing more whole grains and whole wheat pasta and brown rice. Then it was portions. To be honest with you guys, I ate healthy as I improved my eating habits and I tried all different things. My healthy eating really, I would say when I was in college, so from like 14 to 18, it was like overeating, undereating, self-sabotaging, binge eating, not even, that's another thing. So I never like went and binged eat in a secret hiding place. Being part of a Greek and Italian family, overeating and binge eating is completely normal, and it's not even recognized as like a problem. It's just what we do. And I'm sure a lot of other families and cultures can recognize that overeating to the point where your stomach hurts and you need to unbuckle your belt and you're uncomfortable, and doing that on a regular basis, that was a thing for me. And it was also a thing for my family, but for them, they're okay with it. For me, I wasn't. It didn't make me feel good. So I needed to change that. So the reason why I bring that up is because even when I got to the healthy eating regimen, then it was like I was really good at healthy eating Monday through Friday, and then I was not great on it Friday through Sunday. And then there was a point where for the most of the time I was healthy, even on the weekends. Anytime you ask my friends, we go out to eat, they're like, how are you not tempted by this and that? And I just chose to eat healthier because it made me feel better. But my portions were way off. So it wasn't until, I would say, a year-ish ago that I really started focusing on portion control. And that's when the weight loss actually happened. Up until then, it was more of, feeling better in my skin. My clothes fit a little bit differently because I was exercising, gaining more muscle. But my weight has pretty much been the same since high school, but the way my body composition has changed is a little bit different, but the weight has pretty much been the same. But it was the transition of then portion control that actually helped me to actually lose the weight. But the reason why I'm bringing that up is I started from the very beginning, and the only thing that I decided to do was limit my fast food intake. That was number one. Then it went to more veggies. Then it went to more whole grains. Then it went to more lean proteins and plant-based proteins on occasion. Then it went to being really good over like from the weekend and during the week and on the weekend. And it was just constantly changing these habits and behaviors over a period of time. Because I've said it before and I'll say it 1,000 times again, as many times as you guys watch or listen to me, is anything that you do temporarily will only produce temporary results. So you need to change your behaviors. You need to change what you eat on a regular, consistent basis. When you do that, you will have everlasting long change. Okay? So if you do anything too quickly, too rapidly, it's going to come off too fast, too much where you feel there's no control, and that's when you self-sabotage, because it's happened in a position where you don't feel comfortable, you have no control over the situation, and you get scared. Okay? That's kind of leading to my second point of self-sabotage. So it could come from a place of hate, and it could come from a place of, what I kind of just explained about with my journey. But there's also, being a certain way your whole life and then making these changes. It brings attention. And the way you receive that attention can ultimately lead to subconscious self-sabotage with your diet, because you're not used to getting that attention. And it's uncomfortable. And we as human beings do not like to be uncomfortable. So when we're feeling uncomfortable, we overeat. We might drink a little bit. We might go for sweets. We might get really stressed out and completely skip meals and then panic and say, oh, I've lost all this weight. Now I have to keep losing weight, and now I have to do it at a faster rate. And we all deal with the attention differently. And that's why it's really important to work with a registered dietitian while you're on your path to healthier eating, because they'll monitor that and they'll prepare you for that. And then they'll keep you on track when you want to then jump off or on a completely different diet because you're freaking out because you don't know what to do with the attention. And not a lot of people talk about that. There's plenty of people that tell you how to lose the weight, how to feel better, how to gain all this muscle and all this stuff, but nobody talks to you and teaches you how to deal with the attention that you get after. Okay? Because that is the hardest thing, because we want the change, we don't really want the change, and it's a very complex situation. Does anybody agree or disagree? Am I the only one? Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. You guys are the best. So, all right. So we're closing in on 8:30 where I usually end. Okay, good. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for agreeing. I don't want to be alone in this. All right. So I told you a little bit of my story. I read the poem, did not want to read it, but I'm hopeful that it resonated with some of you to know that you're not alone in being kind of in this place of like not, I guess, maybe not ready, uncomfortable, all the things that come with wanting to change but not really wanting to change. So now it's making the decision. So you're going to commit to small changes over time. You have to do it. The best way to create change is getting confident and comfortable in your skin. And the best way to do that is by taking these small little changes and gradually building upon them. So you gain that self-confidence and that awareness, and you keep working at it. So tell me what you are going to work on. So some of my clients, they work on simply just from 1 week to the next, their focus is drinking more water. Some of them are working on not skipping meals. You know, some are working on incorporating more snacks in between their meals. So I'm a sweets eater, just starting to write down what I'm eating, and that you start to write down what you're eating and you're gaining. How long have you been writing down? Good. Focus on more water. How long have you been writing down your food? Usually when you write down your food, it helps you to... Hey, Trisha! Good. She's focusing on more consistent with exercise. Carrie's focusing on... she says, the sweets. I know. Sweets are addicting. Once you have them, you know... My mindset with sweets is if you feel confident that you can have 1 or 2 bites and then stop of the sweets, good for you. Go for it. But if you feel like that 1 or 2 bites is going to lead to another 1 or 2 bites and another 1 or 2 bites, then that's when it's going to be hard, and I would probably recommend not going into it until you feel comfortable and confident enough to just have 1 or 2 bites. Because sometimes then it's not even worth it. And then always have an alternative of the sweet. So like I love sweet potatoes, and I know this sounds silly, but a sweet potato with like a little bit of honey and some cinnamon is actually a wonderful dessert. So that's like a great option when you're craving something sweet instead. Oh yeah, so yeah, if you're drinking coffee in the morning, that's gonna make the weight go right up right when you wake up. But write down your food for like another week or so, and then it might not even change. Part of writing down your food, usually when you are mindful and you're keeping food records, like you end up losing weight because you are just like, oh, like, well, maybe I won't have to write that down, so maybe I won't have that cookie, or, you know, oh, I already had lunch. Why am I going for another lunch to eat, like another meal to eat at lunchtime? I just had lunch. You know, when you're writing down your food, sometimes you're more aware. So with that, usually there's improved nutrition from it because you're being more mindful, but sometimes not always. Sometimes it's just bringing that awareness, and then you have to then go back, look at your food records, and then make changes based off of what you had. So, okay, so you agree, but sometimes it's so hard to avoid. Yeah, that's where sometimes so we're talking about going back to sweets. Sometimes it's really hard to avoid not giving into that temptation. Yes, it is hard, but it's those little moments of victory that make it easier. So it's from... Yeah, so at work, if it's at work, have another snack with you so that way you're not tempted to have the sweets at work, because people will have, people will bring things in, but if you have something else to eat, it's easier to say no thank you. So if you have sweets at work and like your coworkers are bringing them in, have an alternative so it's easier for you to say no thank you. The more that you say no thank you, and the more that you stick to getting past those moments of, if you could just commit to 1 week of no sweets from your coworkers and having your healthier option, that's where you're going to gain the confidence. You're going to say, wow, I can totally do this. It actually wasn't that bad. And I feel great because of it. So a lot of that is part of the process. So, all right, guys. So it is almost 8:30. Just to recap, if you did not subscribe to the Tips with Toni podcast, please do so. If you want to write a review on Apple Podcasts and rate it, only rate it if you're going to give me a 5, because I have 5 out of 5 right now, and I don't want to ruin that rating. So 5 out of 5 stars. So if you want to rate it nicely, that's great. If you don't want to, just don't. Hey, Jen. Oh, good. Love all this. I love all the interaction. I love hearing what you guys are doing. Hey, guys. I love that you all are making healthier choices, committing to a change this week. It's really, really wonderful to read. You guys are awesome. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so that is it. Oh, no, it's not. I created an Are You a Healthy Eater quiz. On my Instagram, you guys can go to the link in my bio, and it'll come up and just put, Are you a healthy eater? So if you want to know if you're a healthy eater or not, definitely take that. And then it has really cool follow-up emails from me with some updates on how you can improve your eating habits if it's not if it's subpar. Hi, Amy. Love you. And on Facebook, I'm going to put the link in the comments for the Are You a Healthy Eater quiz and the link to my friend's blog who asked me to speak at the event, which led to me sharing you my story. So thank you all for listening and not judging my poem from the 3rd grade. I'll put this on my YouTube channel and my vlog on www.tipswithtoni.com, and on Instagram it will be up for 24 hours. That is it. If you are interested in working with me, I am accepting new clients right now. And you would just send me an email, tipswithtoni@gmail.com, and I will explain how my services work for you. Just send me an email, tipswithtoni@gmail, explaining what you would hope to get from the online counseling services. That is it for me from tonight. Thanks you so much for tuning in. Have a healthy week, and I will see you again next week. I'm pretty positive I'm going to be talking about sugar next week. So if you're interested about sugar sweeteners, sugar alternatives, all things sugar, all those things, tune in next week at 8 p.m. All right, bye guys. Have a great night.